Hey everyone, my name is Mitchell, and today we are going to talk about the role of our pancreas in relation to the endocrine system. The pancreas is very special in the way that it is involved with the exocrine and endocrine functions. The exocrine is more of the digestive system, so we will go back to the pancreas as an organ in the digestive unit. The endocrine cell clusters are known as the islets of Langerhans. The alpha cells secrete glucagon to increase blood glucose levels. So this would be done between meals to increase glucose. So let's go ahead and draw this out. So between meals, we will not have a ton of blood glucose. The blood glucose in this picture are those purple dots. So as you can see, there's only 3. We need more. So the alpha cells are able to recognize that we need to increase the amount. So the alpha cells will go ahead and they will secrete glucagon. Now, our goal with glucagon is to increase the amount of blood sugar, so we want more purple dots. So when we come down here, the pancreas has alpha cells that notices that glucose is too low. We need to increase it. So it secretes that glucagon as shown in that picture, and we're going to focus on 4 different ways that glucagon increases blood sugar. So our first way is through gluconeogenesis. So if we break down these words that all look pretty familiar, we will be able to understand how it does this. So gluconeogenesis, gluco as in glucose, and then neo stands for new, and then genesis as in creation. So we are working with this step to create new glucose. As in new glucose, I mean glucose from fats or anything that has not been glucose previously. Another role of glucagon is glycogenolysis. So glycogenolysis, let's do the same thing. Let's break it down. So glycogen, so that's glycogen. And then olysis. Olysis stands for breaking apart. So in this step, we are going to break apart glycogen. Remember, glycogen is the form of glucose built and stored together. So if we are breaking something bigger down, we are then going to get the byproducts, the very small glucose that we want in our bloodstream. And then fat catabolism stands for breaking up fats. And then similarly, we want amino acid absorption. So when we break down fats and have a lot of amino acids, we are then able to focus on using those to create glyconeogenesis, so to create new glucose. So those are the ways that glucagon will then increase these purple dots inside of our blood and increase our blood glucose levels. So on the other hand, there's beta cells. So instead of alpha cells, we're going to now focus on beta cells. The beta cells secrete insulin during or immediately after a meal. So if we think about having a meal pretty recently, we're going to have a lot of blood glucose levels that will be high. So our pancreas, our beta cells will, inside of our pancreas, will recognize that we have a very high blood sugar currently. So then the beta cells will secrete insulin. So insulin promotes the synthesis of glycogen. So it wants to take glucose and put it all together to store it as a something bigger in the form of glycogen. The insulin allows cells to uptake and store it. So these blood sugars cannot just bind to the receptors and go inside the cell. They need insulin. So insulin, think of it as a key. Insulin is needed to unlock these receptors and transport proteins so that glucose can enter into the cell, build up in the form of anabolism, and become glycogen. So as that occurs, these blood sugars will go into the cell, and we will reduce the overall amount of blood sugar in our blood. So if we go down here, we're going to take a look at the bottom part. So the pancreas uses the beta cells. The beta cells are able to recognize when glucose is high. Like I said, that would be during or immediately after a meal. So then beta cells will secrete insulin, and then the role of insulin is for glycogenesis. Let's break this word up again. So glycogen and then genesis. So it's talking about glycogen and then creation. So our goal here is to create glycogen, which helps decrease the amount of glucose in our bloodstream. All right, so we are going to stop here, and we will talk about the disorders such as diabetes in our next video. Thank you so much, and I hope you learned something new today.